Welcome to the Rio Mobility's installation video for the Firefly. I am Santiago and I'm going to demonstrate the installation process for you. First things first, I'm going to take out all the parts that came in the box and lay them out on the floor. I should have two foam blocks, the black foam blocks, the T-frame, and a smaller box with the clamps, the charger box, the drivetrain, I take off all the foam. I can use scissors to cut the zip ties and being careful not to drop the battery. And there is a battery rail that the battery will mount onto. So I want to be careful not to pinch any of the cables. So now I want to make sure that the battery is fitted correctly onto the rail. There is a little U shape on the back that I need to match to the rail of the battery rail. So now I'm prepared to do the second part, so I can put these aside for a moment. And then I'm gonna work on putting the clamps together, 2 point of attachment to the wheelchair. So I open up the smaller box and I shall have plastic shims of different sizes and also the black clamps with the hardware. So 4 different sizes of shims to match any size of tubing. In the box, I should also have a T-handle tool with 3 bits, 4, 5, and 6 millimeter bits. I want to take the 6 millimeter bit and put it inside my tool. And then I'm going to undo the clamps to open them up. This is what's going to attach to your chair. So I'm unscrewing and opening up the clamps, making sure I don't lose any of the hardware, the lock washers and all that. So now I have my clamp open and I'm going to use the thinnest shims that will match the wheelchair that I'm installing it on. So there should be 4 pieces in each bag. And as you can see, I'm putting them each half on each half of the clamp. Now I'm ready to put it onto the chair, screwing one side and then the other. And I want to have them not be too tight yet because I need to make adjustments later. So I just tighten them a little and leave them there for a second. And I'm going to move on to do the other side. So same process on the other side. I have the plastic shims. I have my clamp. I open up the clamp and then put the 2 plastic shims between the clamp and do the other leg of the chair. So I tighten them a little and they can still move around on the tube. After I've done that, I'm going to move on to making sure that they are level by using a leveler. You can also use a ruler and you can measure from the ground up to the bottom of the clamp, making sure that both clamps are even, they're at the same height. This is very important for you to make sure that everything is nice and level. And using my tool again, I want to just tighten them a little more so they don't slide up or down now that I'm sure that they're level. So this is the T-frame. I'm going to take all the foam off. The T-frame is packed in the orientation most convenient for packing, but you will need to adjust it so you can attach it to your wheelchair. You want to have the pin with the button on top facing away from you. Then you want to rotate the arms 180 degrees towards you, so the latching system will end up closest to you on the inner side of the tube, close to your legs. Now I just noticed that my latching system is on the outside where it should be on the inside. So I'm going to change it to the opposite side. You might have to loosen up the collars to do this process, or they might just slide out easily. So once I've done that, I'm going to latch it or hook it onto the clamps. I want to make sure that the back hook goes in first. So the latching system, I put the latch down, I hook the back hook first, and then I can see once it's hooked in the back, I can use the latch to hook the front. So here I'm showing a close-up of how it should hook. As you can see, the pin in the back latches first and then the front by using the latching system, the little lever. So I'm showing how they go on and off. Back hook first and then latch it. When you see the green indicator, that means you're latched on correctly. If you don't see that indicator in your latching system, go ahead and take off the T-frame again and try to hook the back hook first and then latch the front pin. And you should see the indicator on both sides. So the T-frame can be adjusted to different widths of the wheelchair. I am going to demonstrate how to make it narrower for narrower chairs, and then I will go back to make it wider for this specific chair. These 90-degree elbow tubes, one side is shorter than the other, and you can make it into wider or narrower. So I'm going to demonstrate. Now we will tighten the clamps fully before moving on to the next step. You will tighten until you hear the click on the tool. This tool is designed to provide maximum tightness and no more. When you reach the maximum tightness, the tool will click loudly and you will be able to tighten no farther. So at this point, I'm ready to install the drivetrain. I want to line up the pins with the two holes, upper and lower hole, and the upper pin has a button. Once I'm lined up, I can get the head of the upper pin in and then push the button in, so that way the pin will go down all the way. And I want to make sure that the head of the button is released, meaning it's all the way up once you're hooked in or locked in. And you should not be able to pull out the drivetrain from the T-frame. It should be locked in place. You should hear a little click once you're clicked in. I'm going to go ahead and put the handlebar on. I unscrew this little quick release here. It's a 3-part quick release. It's got one screw, and in the front facing you, it's got the little latch and a little metal piece that goes inside as well. Make sure that you don't lose any of these parts. So taking these off, putting the handlebar on, so the display should be on my left hand side, and then close this clamp and put the quick release on again. And this might be a little tricky because the quick release, the little barrel inside comes out. You just need to be patient with yourself here. I might have to use my T-handle to tighten it more, or I can do it by hand with the little handle here, the little latch. You can do it by hand, whatever is easiest for you. You just want to make sure that the handlebar is nice and stable. Once I make sure that is nice and tight, I'm gonna go ahead and do the final adjustments to make sure that it fits me correctly for my height, the length of my arms, and that is not too close or too far away from my body. So I'm gonna take off this extra foam from the fork. And now I'm gonna use my foam blocks to put underneath the casters. And I want to make sure that my brakes are on so I don't slide off the foam blocks. I'm not sure if you can see the wheel is up in the air, so I'm gonna loosen up everything on the T-frame to make my final adjustments and make sure that it's fitted exactly to my body size and shape. There are 3 colors on either side, and again, using my tool, I can loosen up all those screws. And the wheel just came down. So I want to be nice and centered. I don't want to be lopsided. And I want to make sure that there's a slight bend on my arm and that I can see in front of me is not too low, too close to my knees, or too high up impeding my vision. I'm going to show here the stem can pull out. So I'm going to pull it out a little more because I want more height. And then make sure that it's nice and tight again. You want it as tight as possible. Okay, so that's my first adjustment. I like the height. Making sure that I am level on every side, both sides, up and down. I want to make sure that there is a slight bend on my elbow, that I'm not reaching too far, or that the steering is not too close to my body or to my knees. And once I'm content with the adjustment, I can go ahead and tighten everything down. So I want to make sure I hear that click on every screw. So I'm tightening all the collars on the left and right side, 3 collars on each side, 12 screws total that I'm tightening down. I want to make sure I hear that click on every screw. And I'm almost ready to go for a ride. I have all my adjustments made. I'll take my brakes off. So I turn on the battery, and then to turn on the display I use the middle button. To turn on the light I hit the upper arrow and hold it for 5 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and take the foam blocks out from underneath. So I'm ready to roll. I can also put it in reverse. Okay, everything looks good. I'm also going to show again how to turn on the battery in the display. So I'm turning on the battery. I can see the lights. That's on and off. On your display you have 3 buttons. The middle button is the power on and off button. The upper arrow controls also the light by holding the upper arrow key for 5 seconds. Likewise for turning it off. This also controls the power level of the motor. When you start, you will start at level 1 and you can go up to level 5. The down arrow key has only one purpose, to lower the power of the motor. If you're in power level 5, down arrow will bring you down from 5 to 1 and the speed will come down as well. So now I'm going to show the charger. This is a 36-volt charger. I can plug it as I have it right now, or I can take the battery off the rail as well. And the little plug is on the right side of the battery. Once I plug it in, I should see a red light on the charger and green if it's completely charged. It should take about 4 to 5 hours from being fully empty to completely full. So again, showing how the battery fits onto the rail. I don't want to pinch any cables and I want to make sure that the battery is actually on the rail. As I slide it, I push it down and it's got a little C channel at the top that I want to match. And then push it down and that should keep it in place. I also have a locking key. This does not turn on and off the battery. That only is to lock it in place. Each battery comes with 2 locking keys. One key can be left in the battery so you can lock it in place on and off. And the other one you can keep it in a safe place in case you lose the first one. For more information about the Firefly or other products, please contact Rio Mobility via our website or email address. Contact us at support@riomobility.com if you have any questions or comments concerning the installation.